Transform your life with shadow work. Unlock your true potential today. Part 1. What is shadow work? Unlock the secret to inner transformation. Have you ever felt an emptiness you can't explain? Or noticed that, despite your achievements, something inside feels stuck, as if a hidden part of you is sabotaging your peace, relationships, or even mental health? If this resonates, welcome to the world of shadow work. Today, on the Healthy Evolution channel, we're diving deep into this transformative concept that can change how you see yourself and live your life. Get ready for a journey of self-discovery that will inspire you to live with more energy, balance, and purpose. But what exactly is shadow work? Developed by psychologist Carl Jung, this concept is about facing the hidden parts of ourselves, those emotions, memories, or personality traits we suppress, deny, or simply ignore. It's like opening the door to a dark basement in your mind, where fears, insecurities, traumas, and even desires you avoid are stored. Sounds scary? It can be, but it's by shining a light on these shadows that you find freedom, authenticity, and a deeper connection to who you truly are. Think about it. How often have you overreacted to something small, a criticism or a work situation? Or maybe you feel trapped in patterns you don't understand, like procrastination, self-sabotage, or struggles with healthy relationships. These behaviors often stem from your shadows. They're like invisible threads controlling your choices without you noticing. Shadow work is about identifying these threads and, with courage, cutting them or transforming them into something that empowers you. Why is this so powerful? Because facing your shadows doesn't just resolve inner conflicts, it unlocks vital energy. That's right. Suppressing emotions drains immense energy, which can lead to insomnia, anxiety, or even a lack of motivation. When you start integrating these hidden parts, you feel relief, like shedding a heavy burden. It's a form of self-care that boosts mental health, improves relationships, and even enhances your sex life, as you connect with others more authentically and confidently. How to start today? A simple, practical step. You don't need years of therapy to begin shadow work. Here's a practical action you can take right now. The emotional mirror exercise. Grab a notebook and write about a recent situation that deeply bothered you, maybe an argument, a moment of insecurity, or something that threw you off balance. Ask yourself, why did this affect me so much? What part of me is this situation reflecting? Write without censoring, letting your emotions flow. This simple exercise helps identify triggers and starts illuminating your shadows. In the next part, we'll explore how to spot your shadows in everyday life and turn them into allies for personal growth. If this content resonates with you, hit like, comment, I want to evolve, and subscribe to Healthy Evolution for more transformative tips. Part 2. Spot your shadows. Discover the triggers shaping your life. Live with shadow work. Build a life of purpose and fulfillment. Welcome back to our journey on Healthy Evolution. In the first part, we discussed what shadow work is, and how it can unlock energy, boost mental health, and transform your life. Now, let's go deeper. How do you identify these shadows in your daily life? Because, believe me, they're there, showing up when you least expect, and learning to recognize them is the first step to turning them into powerful allies for personal growth. Shadows aren't terrifying monsters. They're parts of you that have been hidden, often out of fear, shame, or because society taught you that's not acceptable. Ever felt sudden anger when someone cuts you off in traffic? Or maybe envy you swallow when you see someone shining? Those feelings aren't the problem, ignoring them is. When you suppress these emotions, they don't vanish. They build up, draining your energy, motivation, and even quality of life. Shadow work is about looking at these emotions with courage and curiosity, not judgment. How to identify your shadows. So, how do you find these shadows in everyday life? They show up in your emotional triggers. For example, think of someone who deeply irritates you. Maybe it is a coworker who seems too perfect, or a partner who always gets under your skin. Ask yourself, what exactly about this person or situation bothers me? Often, what annoys you in others reflects something you reject in yourself. This is what Carl Jung called projection. For instance, if you criticize someone for being arrogant, It might mean you fear being seen that way or secretly wish you had their confidence. Another sign of your shadows is repeating patterns. Do you always attract the same toxic relationships? Or maybe you sabotage yourself just when you're close to a big goal. These loops are clues that something in your unconscious needs attention. Shadow work helps break these cycles, bringing more balance to your emotional life, relationships, and even physical health, since suppressing emotions can cause insomnia, anxiety, or physical issues. Practical action. The Shadow Journal. Here's a simple practice to start today. The Shadow Journal. Set aside 10 minutes at the end of the day and write about a situation that bothered you. Describe what happened, how you felt, and most importantly, ask, what does this reveal about me? For example, if you felt envy toward someone, explore, what do I wish I had that I think this person has? Write honestly, without judgment. This practice will help you map your shadows and understand what they're trying to teach you. In the next part, we'll talk about how to integrate these shadows and use them to boost your energy, motivation, and even your sex life. Stay with us to turn your self-discovery journey into something practical and powerful. Part 3. Embrace your shadows. Turn fears into strength and authenticity. You've made it this far in our journey on healthy evolution, and that shows you're committed to inner transformation. In the last part, we learned how to spot our shadows in daily life, those emotional triggers and patterns that reveal what we hide from ourselves. Now, let us take the next step. How do you integrate these shadows so they stop being enemies and become sources of strength, energy, and authenticity? Get ready, because this is where the magic happens. Integrating your shadows doesn't mean erasing them or pretending they don't exist. Instead, it's about accepting them as part of who you are. Think of your shadows as an inner child, ignored for years. When you give that part attention, care, and understanding, it stops crying out, and that's when you feel deep relief. This acceptance frees up energy that was spent suppressing emotions, allowing you to live with more ease, motivation, and even passion, whether in relationships, work, or your sex life. Why is this so important? Because when you reject your shadows, they control you. They show up as self-sabotage, insomnia, anxiety, or that I'm not good enough feeling. But when you integrate them, you reclaim power over your life. For example, that insecurity you've always hidden can turn into empathy, helping you build deeper connections with others. Or that fear of failure can become courage to take risks and chase your dreams. Shadow work is the secret to unlocking your potential and living with balance and purpose. Practical action. The acceptance meditation. Here's a transformative practice to start today. The acceptance meditation. Find a quiet spot, sit comfortably, and close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths. Now, think of a shadow you've identified, maybe a fear, anger, or insecurity. Picture it as a figure in front of you. Without judging, say mentally, I see you. You're part of me, and I accept you. Ask, what do you want to teach me? Let answers come naturally, without forcing. Do this for 5 minutes and write down what you felt afterward. This simple practice helps create a dialogue with your shadows, turning them into allies. This integration journey doesn't happen overnight, but every small step brings you closer to a life with more energy, mental health, and authenticity. In the next part, we'll explore how to sustain this work long-term and make it part of your lifestyle. If this content inspires you, hit like, comment, I'm on the journey, and subscribe to Healthy Evolution to keep evolving with us. Part 4. Live with shadow work. Build a life of purpose and fulfillment. We've reached the final part of our journey on healthy evolution, and if you're here, you're truly dedicated to transforming your life. So far, we've explored what shadow work is, how to identify your shadows in daily life, and how to integrate them to live with more authenticity and energy. Now, let us talk about making this process a lifestyle, a continuous practice that boosts your mental health, relationships, motivation, and even longevity. Because, ultimately, shadow work isn't just about fixing problems. It's about living with fulfillment and purpose. Making shadow work part of your daily life is like training a muscle. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. And the payoff? You become more resilient, more connected to yourself and others, and even more vibrant in areas like your sex life or work performance. Imagine the freedom of not being controlled by unconscious fears or repetitive patterns. Imagine the energy that flows when you stop fighting yourself and start embracing all parts of who you are. These are the rewards of a sustained commitment to self-discovery. How to make it a habit. The key to turning shadow work into a lifestyle is consistency. It's not about big changes all at once, but small daily steps that build powerful results. For example, you can take 5 minutes each morning to reflect. What did I feel yesterday that bothered me? What does this teach me about myself? This practice keeps you aware of your shadows and prevents them from piling up. Plus, surrounding yourself with people who support your growth, like friends who value authenticity or even a therapist, can make all the difference. Practical action. The self-compassion ritual. Here's a final practice to adopt today. The self-compassion ritual. Before bed, grab a notebook and write 3 things you did well that day, even if they're small. Then, write 1 thing you'd like to improve. But instead of judging yourself, write, "I forgive myself and choose to learn from this." For example, "I forgive myself for being impatient today. I'll learn to breathe deeply before reacting." This ritual reinforces acceptance and turns your shadows into growth opportunities. Shadow work is a lifelong journey, but every step brings you closer to a life with more balance, energy, and meaning. Start today with courage and watch your mental health, relationships, and vitality flourish. If this content touched you, hit like, comment, I'll keep going, and subscribe to Healthy Evolution for more tips to transform your life. Until the next journey.